the controversy surrounding allegations of anti-Semitism in the party. In an article for The Guardian, Mr Corbyn admitted Labour had a real problem, but said he was determined to root out anti-Semitism. Tonight, one of his backbenchers, Ian Austin, said that the article would only make matters worse. Well, Gideon Falter is chair of the campaign against anti-Semitism. And tell us just first of all what you make of this latest intervention by Jeremy Corbyn.
Ian Austin's absolutely right. It was hard to imagine this getting any worse, but Jeremy Corbyn's managed to achieve just that. Released just before the Jewish Sabbath begins, this article fails to take any personal responsibility. It fails to adopt the international definition of anti-Semitism, and it's filled with all sorts of rhetoric which is aimed at confusing the issue. For example, he's tried to make this about Israel. He's cited examples of anti-Semitism which he himself has defended in the past. He specifically refers in his article, for example, to crude caricatures of Jewish bankers. Of course, that mural that we saw, he defended. He's attacked people who say that 9/11 was a conspiracy run by Israel, but of course he has personally defended Reverend Stephen Sizer, who said just that. So this is an article...
But he does say in this article, people who dish out anti-Semitic poison need to understand you do not do it in my name. This is what Jeremy Corbyn says. You're not my supporters and have no place in our movement. He is insisting that he wants nothing to do with anyone who is anti-Semitic.
Well, it's good that he's finally said that, but the problem is that we consider that under the international definition of anti-Semitism, Jeremy Corbyn is himself an anti-Semite. Just in the last 2 weeks, we've had examples coming out of his past conduct, for example, where he blamed a terrorist attack in Egypt on some kind of conspiracy which he blamed on, quote, the hand of Israel. We've seen that on 2 successive Holocaust Memorial Days, one of them he launched an attempt to remove the word Holocaust from Holocaust Memorial Day. On the other one, he held an event in Parliament which was about abusing the memory of the Holocaust, and one of the speakers stood up and said the Nazis were successful in Nazifying the consciousness of their victims. I mean, if you just unpack that, that means that the Jews are the successors to the Nazis, and Mr Corbyn was there turfing out anti-racism activists who came to the meeting and remonstrated with the speakers.
To go back to the article that he's written tonight, is part of the problem that he still does not seem to be prepared to accept all the examples which are part of that widely recognised international code?
That's a huge part of this, and for weeks now we've been asking him to adopt this, but the thing is, I think he's made it now so bad by, even at this point, stubbornly telling Jews that he knows best how to define anti-Semitism. This is a code adopted by the Crown Prosecution Service, the College of Policing, governments around the world. If he still thinks he knows best how to define anti-Semitism when he himself is in breach of the code, then unfortunately I just can't see how this could be made any worse by him.
What can he do then? He's clearly trying in this article to reach out to people like yourself, to people in the Jewish community. What does he need to do to mend those fences?
We actually in the Jewish community disagree. We think that this article does not reach out to us. We think it's a very cynical attempt to muddy the waters, and basically he's communicating with us and he's saying, I'm not going to do what you're asking me to do. And we think the reason he won't do it is because if he adopts the full international definition of anti-Semitism, he will be caught by it because he is engaged in anti-Semitic behaviour that is caught by the international definition of anti-Semitism.
OK, Gideon Falter, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Well, our political